Welcome back to Backroom Convos. I'm your host, Lesego Daddy Waddy Pod, aka Shoot Your Shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. This week's song of the week is First Person Shooter by J. Cole and Breezy Drake. And I also wanted to talk about the song I really enjoyed. I was listening to Secret Recipe yesterday, and I think it's also a great song by Lil Yachty and J. Cole, and I felt like I got a different feel from how Lil Yachty approaches his verses from that song alone, and it just gave me an idea which maybe the boy is growing on. So I just wanted to say that, before we get on with the business of the day. So on this week's episode, we are talking about the Palestine and the Israel war, because of the comments that have been passed by a lot of people on social media. I think maybe it's time that we cover that as well. First off, I wanted to talk about, the call to action for DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled was being dragged for being Palestinian and not saying anything about what's going on in Palestine. And on all honesty, I don't think that he has to say anything about the ongoing war between Palestine and Israel, So this has been, for sure, for people who just caught on the news now, this has been an ongoing war from 1948, and it's been going on ever since, And do you think like DJ Khaled should be making comments about what's going on as far as like the Palestine war, the Israel-Palestine war? Do you think he should be, because he's a celebrity, he has influence, he has, resource, do you think he should be making those comments and, about whatever that's going on? And I also wanted to touch base with what Vladimir Putin had to say about the war that's going on and his involvement in the war, and mainstream media to it as well, and the first world countries' involvement. Basically, I think for sure, when I look at, I'll just go right on to it. I think, when I got the chance to look at this, and I don't know, and I'm grateful for you guys to give me a platform to kind of voice my opinion on what's currently going on with the war. And from someone that comes from an angle of not knowing what has been going on in the war, I looked at three factors that factored in on how I perceive or what I think about what Cold War is. I think and this is me backing the reason before I think this is a part of like another same concept of Cold War but in different place type of situation. I looked at what mainstream media is pushing on all the social media platform. I looked at the other side, which is Russia, Putin. I looked at the United States standpoint with what's going on. And in my mind, if you know anything about Cold War, be the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombing which happened in the 9th of August 1945, if you know anything about that, and the US's involvement, on testing nuclear hits, there was a bomb even called Big Boy, when they signed the peace treaty, so there's a reason why, these nuclear weapons are not being used anymore. It's because I think they signed the peace treaty to not use those nuclear weapons. But the first places where those weapons were tested was Nagasaki and Hiroshima in August 9th, 1945. That's when they tested those bombing. And looking at the place now, you can't even say that, going to this that place is being developed. And let me just throw this at it. Let me throw this in what I'm saying, is that when nuclear weapons are being used in any sort it was said by scientists, by the way. It's not something that I'm actually making it up. So it's not something that I'm making up. So it was said by scientists that any place that gets hit by any nuclear hit, that place can never give life, or you cannot grow vegetation or cultivate anything in that land, given the chemicals that are being used to make those nuclear weapons, right? So, but then today it's a different story, because if you look at Japan then and you look at it now, it's a different story, because those people developed. I don't know if it's chemicals that help them to fertilize the soil, to regrow plants in that, and make it more what's the word? I forgot the word. But now you can plant and grow it. You can grow plants as you wish in that land, the very same land that scientists said then you can't grow anything. Now they can do something, and they actually done something with that land, which was bombed in 1945, if I'm not mistaken. And another classic example, I could say the Cuban Missile, which happened in 1962, October, the very same month that we are in. It actually happened for like 2 weeks, where the Soviet Union set up camp at the Cuban Missile. So they set up camp in Cuba to have the first attack on the United States, being a part of the superpowers that are amongst the three superpowers, the two superpowers. They set up camp in Cuba to targeting the strike. And what I've read about that, it said them positioning themselves in the borders of the United States gave them an upper hand as far as places like the United States, places like Philadelphia, places, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember what the third place was. They were not gonna get any warnings, given the speed of the vessel or the missile. They would never get any warnings. Or even the third place that I forgot to mention was Denzel Washington. The third place was Washington DC. So yeah, that's the third place that I wanted to mention. So if you look at that as well, that's one of those three places, or a third place when we speak about the effects of Cold War. So the fourth place that I want to mention is the Vietnam War. If you want to talk about the Vietnam War as well, we can also look at the media, mainstream media, and everything that was happening at that time. So this is what I've read. So obviously the United States, the mainstream media was streaming all the side effects of and by the way, the Vietnam won the war against, a first world country, one of the superpowers in like this Cold War thing, which is the United States. They won against them, and they won from a public standpoint and a political standpoint. And this is why I say that. So there were articles that were published, and there were strikes, or like, what do you call? I don't know what you call them in the States, where marches. You call them marches, yes. So you call them marches. So there were marches all around the United States saying the U.S. military should pull out of the war. And these are some of the reasons why that happened. These are some of the reasons that people wanted the United States to pull back. So, kids were being pulled into the military so they can be trained to be, shipped to Vietnam, in hopes to win over Vietnam. But, I think because Vietnam also had home ground advantage, as much as the United States had all the machinery or the weapons to kill, but then Vietnam at the time was a jungle. So like there were strategies that were being implemented, or war tactics that were being implemented, and because that's Vietnam, it's easier for them to blend in with the locals. And tactics, as I spoke about before, tactics such as guerrilla weapons were being implemented. If you know anything about the Vietnam War, you'd know that guerrilla tactics that were being implemented, and everything that was being implemented to make sure that Vietnam won, because they never really had the resource or the machinery, the weapons to really fight them, head on. Hence they won that war, because they used the jungles as, a battlefield so they can, kill those people, the US military soldiers. I think that's another thing that I wanted to factor in. And I don't know if mainstream media was biased at that point. I don't know anything about that. I haven't read anything. But one thing I know for sure about mainstream media is that if they do want to sell an agenda, they'll sell you an agenda. If they want to drive a narrative, they'll drive a narrative. So in that sense, the narrative was working for the general public. That's why they won. They won the war. The Vietnamese won the war in the United States with the people, of course, the local in the United States, because people were marching for the US to pull out the war. So they won in that sense, and they even won at home because, US soldiers were being defeated each and every day. And for the fact that they didn't know who's a local and who's not the local of the place, that was also another factor into it as to why US was in need of more soldiers in the war. I thought that was interesting to highlight. Coming back to the Palestine war, the reason I did mention earlier on when I spoke about if this is a part of the Cold War effects, I looked at 3 factors into this, and I was like, what's the mainstream media standpoint, or what is mainstream media? What's the narrative being driven by the mainstream media? What is actually going on? Because there's also individuals that are, posting side contents on the side, you know what I mean? What is that saying? And again, you look at the US's involvement, which is a superpower, and you look at the Soviets, which is Russia now. You look at their standpoint. And I looked at the clip, which was released about 12 days ago. It was released 12 days ago. Putin was saying a statement about what's going on with the Harams killing, Palestinian people, and it was about, let me just give you the accurate figures. It was 1,200 people that were killed, and 2 of those people were believed to be Russian people. So going into the public and Putin's mindset, I think going into the media, he understood that US has always known how to use mainstream media to work on its advantage. And he knows that this is Putin, he knows the pull that he has in the media in general, independent media, that he has as Putin, So I think one reason I could think of that why Putin was very insensitive, because, there's 2 Russian people. You'd expect the president of the country to say something about the people that passed on, in that place, which were, I don't know what the land is, but they were killed by Haram people. You'd hope that the president of the country would say something about them, and Putin came into that press briefing, he was clear about what he wanted to say. Never said anything about the 2 people that passed on, and a lot of you people, it's very insensitive. Like, a lot of the people in the comment section were saying, why is Putin so insensitive? Or, and there's a lot of that. And I think knowing that, there's 2 Russians, and, I think he knows what he stands to lose and what he stands to gain, and what those 2 people being dead brought an advantage in it. I think it's a calculated move for him to be saying that. And I'm like, well, I think he might have said what he said, but also be insensitive or be sensitive to the fact that there's 2 Russian people that dead. As a president, is it, what you should do, or what is believed that should be, I think that was something to highlight from this, And I think, again, when I was looking at the standpoint of media and everything, nothing is being said, first and foremost. Nothing is being said by about the United States, but, a lot of, the media giants of this world are based in, the United States. If you Google what's happening now, you'll find that anything that comes out of social media regarding the war that's ongoing in Palestine. What's the name of the place? Levant, what is going on in Levant, you'd find that CNN is covering those views. CNN is covering those views. It's WN. I don't know what it stands for, but you'd find that the first page of that, it's mainstream media. It's the big heads. You know what I mean? So, and those big heads are in the United States. And when you look at that, the people that stand to benefit and the shareholders of that, and I think to bring to light the shareholders of your media houses such as CNN or WN, people like BlackRock are part of that. BlackRock owns 90 something percent of companies in the world. They own shares, in the stock WhatsApp exchange. I think they own majority of the shares in those, and they're the biggest asset management firm in the world. That's BlackRock, and I think the second one is Vanguard. Vanguard is also the second. It also does asset management for like your rich people, companies, stock, those bigger companies. They also do that. Same individuals that own BlackRock, they also own Vanguard. So those two parties are involved when they own like majority of the stakes in all these companies that are mainstream companies, and they are media giants in what they do. And owners are looking to make profit, and the way to make profit is by driving a narrative that benefits their country, which is the United States. And if you get to look at the opportunities that United States stands to gain if the party wins that they're rooting for wins, you look at the days they stand to gain, then you start to understand that this is more political than it is about the two countries the two countries that are involved. So someone once defined, I think when we come back after the break, because we need to go to the break now. So when we come back after the break, I'll tell you a bit of a story about regarding someone who told me something about the Cold War. I'm not big in history, but I do know for sure like a little bits and pieces about everything and what's ongoing at the moment. You know what I mean? So I'll share my perspective on that when we come back. So I'm your host, the Daddy Waddy Pod. Let's meet after the break. Cheers. Welcome back to Backroom Convos. I'm your host, the Daddy Waddy Pod, aka Shoot Your Shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Caro. And the song of the day is by Drake and J. Cole, called First Person Shooter. And when we were doing the song selection thingy, I also listened to Secret Recipe, which is also by Lil Yachty and J. Cole as well. And it had me thinking, for those of you who listened to the first segment, you had me giving comments as to why I think J. Cole is on fire at this point. And I'm one of the people that's so excited about the album that's coming out, The Fall Off. If you didn't know that, he's working on that as well. I think the verses he's been releasing lately, they're fire. If you don't know some of the verses that I'm talking about, if you listen to First Person Shooter featuring J. Cole, has Drake as well, as part of the All My Dogs album, Drake's album. If you listen to Secret Recipe by Lil Yachty, which was a single that was released featuring the man himself, J. Cole, and if you listen to All My Life, which featured Lil Dag on his album, I'm not sure what that album is called, but if you also listen to that, and that's also like commercial, it's a commercial song. So you do know that. So if you know those three songs that I just mentioned, for sure, the man that's being featured on that and is being killing those features, J. Cole, you listen onto like the annotations that he's been, or the syllables, or he's there, he's present. I really like, and I'm so fascinated. And even the Summer World Cup song, that audio hearts he did, also was big on TikTok as well. So I just said, like, I'm just putting it out there. I just love the J. Cole that's working with artists more. For sure, I did like the Forest Hill Tribe. I did like for Your Eyes Only. The two albums were very nice. I enjoyed those, and just to see the trajectory of his growth going, more collaboration, it kind of makes me think what we should expect from J. Cole. For sure, I can tell now it's like more bars and bars. And last year we had him release the song with Bia, the song The London. We had him also. He was spitting, but I didn't really feel that song. But I just thought that I should put that. I went off topic, I know. I just thought I should add that onto that. Say I'm one of the people that very excited about the album that's coming, which is The Fall Off. And for those people who bought the Amy's album, what are you thinking about the song? Which song are you enjoying, so we can listen to it and hopefully maybe have one of those songs as the song of the day for the next segment. You know what I mean? Let us know what you think about Paradise 2 Amy's. And when I was listening to the album as well, she was teasing Mesh Beach, which is crazy because Mesh Beach has been one of the people that made a lot of Reese's work. And I just thought maybe that it's trash that this is actually, teasing Mesh Beats on the album. But it is what it is. Let us know what you think on the comment section, what you think of the album, what's your take on what's going on currently on the Palestine-Israel conflict. So let us know, what you think. And before I went on to the break, I did say I was gonna tell you a story, I think I was in, grade 11? Grade 11, I was being taught by a lovely gentleman. He's one, I think, he's a history teacher, and he did say, the moment you see two parties involved, you must know that war is more political than what you see. Because now you can see, what I mean by that is that you can see the ongoing conflict between the Israelis and the Palestine, the conflict, what's going on. He says, if you can peel down behind that and you see there's bigger parties involved, your first world countries, the people that want to run it. Then, you look at Russia, they're involved. Putin's involvement. You look at the United States, the CNN, and I think the United States has always been big in driving the narrative, using media because that's their greatest weapon to drive, drive the narratives to change people's perception about everything that's going on in and around their lives. I think they've always been big on that, and Putin has never really said much. But now, I think the moment there's people knew about Putin and what he does as president is when there's Ukraine. Even the Ukraine thing is also a part of them going at each other. It's still cold because they haven't really faced one another. Battlefield, that's why it's been called Cold War, because a Cold War, I think this is how I define what a Cold War is. A Cold War is the superpower countries, United States and Russia, using their spheres of interest to fight their battles. You look at the Ukraine war, the United States was trying the Ukraine to get to Russia. Closer, the same strategy that Russia implemented with the Cuban Missile, the United States tried with the Ukraine penetration, but it didn't work because Putin really retaliated. But people don't understand, or mainstream, because people don't understand the severity of, politics in whatever that's happening. People don't understand that, and for the few people that understand, they'll tell you there's more going on than what people are actually seeing on TV or news. It's because mainstream media driven by the companies that are US owned, media giants or United States, and they have an audience that people, they have brand loyalty because people listen to CNN and they only get the biased side, which pushes the US narrative that the US is, make America great again. It pushes that narrative that, Russia is the bad side, Russia is the bad, it's doing this to Ukraine. everybody stand with Ukraine. This US has always been big on that. You know what I mean? And I think when Putin started acting out, seeing what's happening as far as like Ukraine, US moving there, and trying to push the narrative of penetrating countries that are closer. Russia. Ukraine is close to Russia, so Russia didn't like that. That's why what happened, and they couldn't be a part of the NATO thing. They couldn't a part of the NATO thing. They couldn't sign that because whatever happened. But that's my stance on that, and that's how I defy. I don't know if everybody got my definition of what cold war means, but let's just hope. But if you didn't, if you don't agree with my definition of what the war in my understanding means, let us know in the comment section, or simplify, or give us your opinion on how you think about the war, and if you really think that I'm talking trash, because I would think I do, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's my perspective. I think the book of the day has to go to 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. A lot of people been reading that, to empower yourself. I think that book is very necessary to read. Go out there, read the book. Let us know what you think of the book on the comment section. I think let us know again. I think this is a broader topic, and given that you guys given me an opportunity to actually indulge myself with my limited knowledge as to what's going on between the Israel-Palestine conflict, I think let us know what you think. If you were to bring in someone who's an expert, someone who's on the ground, in Levant, who should, if you think we should have them on the podcast, do let us know. I appreciate you for listening. Song of the day was First Person Shooter by Joko. Book of the day, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Let's meet tomorrow on another exciting segment. I'm your host, Lesego M, Daddy Waddy Pod, aka Shoot Your Shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. Let's meet on the next one. Cheers.